calendar of church events had only impeded their full pursuit of God. Since God cares compassionately for the hurting, I certainly do not wish to minimize the tragedy of the circumstances surrounding COVID-19. However, I cannot help but wonder, what if God occasionally allows disasters in order to interrupt life as usual and begin a process of reforming His people? What if He uses tribulation in the world to remind us that the church is not a building or a place, but a people who pursue the person and presence of God? Stated simply, what if God allows divine interruptions to help close the distance between Him and His people? My purpose in writing this book is not necessarily to offer a comprehensive discussion of the why behind disaster, why a gracious God would allow a pandemic like the coronavirus, or why a good God would allow pain and suffering. In fact, this book is not really about disaster at all. Instead, birthed out of a passion for drawing nearer to God, it is about how to respond in times of disaster. Throughout history, God has interrupted life as usual with wake-up calls, beginning with Adam and Eve, when God interrupted their game of hide-and-seek in the bushes. During the time of Noah, God took one look and saw how bad it was, everyone corrupt and corrupting, life itself corrupt to the core, Genesis chapter 6 verse 12, Message, and decided to interrupt it with a flood. For Moses, divine interruption came through a burning bush. Abraham's effort to sacrifice his son was interrupted by a ram in the thicket. Throughout the era of the kings and prophets, culture and conquest were interrupted through supernatural signs and miraculous wonders. Then, after 400 years of silence during the intertestamental years, the ultimate interruption took place. Look, the virgin will conceive a child. She will give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God is with us. Matthew chapter 1 verse 23, New Living Translation. See also Galatians chapter 4 verses 4 and 5. Humankind witnessed the most extravagant example of how God closed the distance, the coming of Emmanuel, which means God is with us. From that moment on, the invitation for a personal relationship with God has remained at the forefront of God's mission on earth. For some, such as the disciples, Jesus simply shows up and invites them to leave everything behind and follow Him. Others, like Saul, who would later become Paul, He abruptly knocks off their high horse into the dirt and calls for a radical change of purpose. Though Paul is an example of one who responded to God with a yes, many others, such as the rich young ruler, choose to walk away from Him. Regardless, in every case, God has a reason for His divine interruption of life as usual. As we look at the 21st century, I believe God is using chaotic circumstances, whether human-made, like 9/11, or naturally induced, such as the coronavirus or Hurricane Katrina, as opportunities for anyone and everyone to come closer to Him. To close the distance between ourselves and God, we must traverse a two-way street. The initial interruption belongs to Him, while the lifelong response belongs to us. As the Scripture declares, those who do not know God can seek and find Him if they search for Him with all their hearts. See Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 13. Even those who already know Him must engage in the search. Pastors and church leaders must diligently seek Him. Christian organizations and denominations must intentionally embark on a pursuit of Him. God is eager and willing to close the distance with us if we are willing to close the distance with Him. My family once had a garage sale, and one of the items we sold was my children's Lego set. As preschoolers, my sons would construct grand creations that had no recognizable form. Only after Dad sat down and began to take the pieces apart and put them back together again did a purposeful piece of architecture take shape. As you listen through Nearer to God, closing the distance between you and your Creator, may our Dad...